I declare war. So tonight I want to talk about this controversy involving Phil from The Advice Show, but before I get started, I'm going to wait a few minutes to allow people to trickle into the chat room. I want to make sure that you all can hear me loudly and clearly before I get started. So I see that someone's tuning in right now. If you can let me know in the chat room if the sound is fine, if the visuals are fine, I would appreciate it. You can just throw up a 1. Shout out to Ultimate Hit. Yeah, just let me know if you can hear me okay, and then we'll get started. Because I don't want to start a live stream that's all choppy and buffering and all that kind of stuff. Shout out to Miss Mahogany. Shout out to you. Shout out to Brown Sugar Baby. Okay, I see that someone threw up a 1 so you all can hear me. I'm just going to wait a couple of more minutes for a few more people to join. I want to thank you all for tuning in. You know, this is a subject that I have to address, but I'm going to wait a couple of minutes before I get started. You know, I really have to address this, and I just want to remind you all that I am back on this channel. I will be doing regular content over here and on my New Possibilities channel. So if you are not subscribed to this channel, please do so tonight and turn on the notification so you'll be notified anytime I post content over here. All right, so I see that we have enough people to get started. So I'm going to start off by sharing my screen, if you can bear with me for a second. Okay, you see my screen. And this has been all over Black YouTube. This is a photograph of Phil from The Advice Show with his Mexican wife. And this woman is a white Mexican. You know, she's not Afro-Latino, as some people like to say. You know, she is not part Black, as you can see clearly in this photograph. You know, if she has any Black in her, it's like marginal or, you know, basically very slight, if at all. This woman looks white to me. This is a white woman. And ordinarily, this wouldn't be a big deal, like for, you know, for someone to happen to be in an interracial relationship. Like if this, for instance, was like somebody, like one of these YouTube coons, like Anthony Brian Logan, nobody would care. If this was one of these other people on here, like even a coon like Tommy Sotomayor, nobody would even make a big deal about this. But the fact of the matter is that we have this brother, Phil from The Advice Show, who's regularly putting out all this content about Black issues and pro-Blackness and, you know, racism this, racism that, white supremacy this, white supremacy that. He constantly has, you know, these guests on his program, for instance, like a Cynthia G, who are strong against, you know, interracial relationships and marriage, at least according to her rhetoric, you know, the popular rhetoric that she puts out here. You would take that position. You would think that she's really against it. But this man, you know, puts on this show, this pro-Black performance for people that would have you think that he's pro-Black. And the ultimate way, like one of the ways that people can express their love for their people, is one of the most important decisions that a person makes in life. And that decision is who you decide to not only lay down with, who you decide to build a life with, who you decide to marry. There is no more important decision than that. There's no more important reflection of one's values than who one decides to marry. And if somebody is truly pro-Black, if they truly have all this love for their people, they're concerned about the plight of their people, then the first thing that they would do is look for a woman who is a part of that culture, a Black woman, somebody that shares your experience, shares your history, and shares your heritage, somebody that is from the Black experience, somebody that is Black. That would be the first thing that one would do if one is truly pro-Black, if one truly has a love and appreciation for Black women, you as the man who's the pursuer in a relationship, it seems like you would be the one to look for a Black woman if that's what you truly believe. And I just think that this is just another example of hypocrisy that we see. And I'm going to get into that in a second before I address these other issues about being pro-Black and with a white woman or a Mexican woman or whatever. You can't talk pro-Black while you're dating and marrying white or Latino or some other non-Black person. You know, people will not and should not take you seriously. I mean, you can't talk about how you're for Black people and this and that. You know, you can't get on all these pro-Black programs like Sonetta TV and, you know, this one and that one, if you really aren't down for Black people like that. And one way to express your love and affection for your people is to marry within your own. You know, this shouldn't be something that's, you know, this rocket science. I mean, this is just basic. It's just basic common sense. But for some reason, people want to make it deeper than that. So that's one thing. And then, you know, the hypocrisy factor. I mean, the fact of the matter is this man has had people on his program like Cynthia G. I mean, not Cynthia G, but what's her name? Crystalline Cares, and, you know, questioning her about her stance on interracial relationships. This man has, in fact, done videos where he's talking about the interracial relationship agenda. But yet this man is in an interracial relationship. This man is talking about an agenda that he's a part of. How does that make any kind of sense? How can this man have any gumption or any nerve to question, you know, these swirlers when he's participating in the very activity that he has the nerve or audacity to question? How does that even add up? How is that even logical at all? And, you know, this is just another example. This is just another example that we see of just blatant hustling. You know, these people that get on YouTube and they present one image for the public. You know, they put on a performance for the public. They put on a show for the public so that they can earn money from the public. But behind the scenes, in their real life, is something completely different. It's like those memes that they put up on, you know, Facebook and stuff like that, where they have the person that's all militant and pro-Black, you know, on YouTube or on Facebook or whatever. They're all like Malcolm X, or they're like the Black Panthers and this and that. But in real life, they're more like that character Steven from Django. In real life, they're more like Fiddler from Roots. In real life, they're just like, you know, another one of these coons that we see out here, you know, lusting after these white women. So, you know, that's something that I had to address briefly. This is not going to be a long hangout. I just had to address this. You know, once I saw a couple of videos where it was verified that these are, in fact, his pictures with this woman, and this is, in fact, you know, his wife, you know, I had to get on here and address this because it's just another example of hustling, another example of hypocrisy. And we've seen this time and time again. We've seen this play out time and time again. We saw it, as others have pointed out, with Boyce Watkins, you know, this man that talks all this Black independent stuff, you know, all this rhetoric about Black men, you know, controlling their own and having their own businesses and stuff like that. But he was partnering with this Asian guy that basically used him as his pitch man, selling Black people hopes and dreams and all that kind of nonsense. And, you know, so you had that example. Then you got all these other examples, man. You got people on here misrepresenting who they are. You know, people on here talking about they're raising money for schools and stuff like that. Turns out they're raising money for themselves. Turns out no school is ever going to be built. And stuff like that. They get on programs, national news programs, and talk about how they're but yet they're running around with strippers and all that kind of stuff, presenting a false image of who they are. They want to lecture people about, you know, how women should behave and this and that, when they are feeding the pathology that exists in our community and the dysfunction that exists in our community by their own personal conduct. But yet they want to lecture people. Hypocrisy. Just like you got that woman, Cynthia G, constantly talking all this interracial relationship mumbo jumbo, you know, talking about how she's so against it. But she also is caught on tape talking about basically tricking for dollars from these white men. So it's just like all kinds of hypocrisy on YouTube. You can't trust these people at all to get on here and present themselves as one way when they're not really living like that, when in fact they're just presenting a show so that they can make money. And it's just a shame, man. It's just a shame. And that's the problem with something like a YouTube. You know, there's no screening or vetting process here on YouTube. Anybody can just get up on here and build an audience without any kind of credibility at all. I mean, just like you got that woman, Chyna Fox, another one of these fake, you know, hustling as, you know, hypocrites here on YouTube. I mean, this woman, you know, puts on all these airs like she's all pro-black this, pro-black that, when just a couple of years ago, she was talking about how she has a preference for these white guys. I mean, it's just so much hypocrisy on here. And, you know, I had to address this. You know, if I'm going to do videos about, you know, black women who are swirling or whatever, who have abandoned the black man, etc., then I have to address these black men to do the same. Somebody has to call this stuff out. Somebody has to address these people, man. You know, and I'm glad that a lot of people are bringing attention to this issue. And I was checking out this other YouTuber. I'm not going to mention his name, but many people may know who he is. But he was just talking about, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute. And hold on one second. Let me just, I'm going to get to your comments in a second. And basically he was talking about how regardless of what these hustlers do on here, y'all are still going to support them, man. Y'all going to still remain subscribed to them. So it really doesn't even matter at the end of the day, because y'all going to still be subscribed to your man Phil from The Advice Show, despite this obvious and blatant hypocrisy, man. Y'all going to still be watching his videos, still, you know, supporting him. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, man. Just like you got, you know, Boyce Watkins, he still has thousands upon thousands of subscribers. You know, all these other people that have been called out still have a lot of subscribers. So it just shows you how easily people are manipulated, how blind, deaf, and dumb some people are, how people just don't get it. And there's another thing that I want to address about this whole thing. And despite the fact that this guy, like recently, well, over the couple of years, he's taken on this pro-black persona. Years ago, he didn't have that kind of persona, as many people have pointed out. Years ago, he was virtually like this, like that Tommy character you see on YouTube. You know, one of these people that have derogatory things to say about black women. And eventually he started to tone it down. You know, he started to mature in how he presented his information and stuff, from what I understand. And the thing is, people really shouldn't be surprised by this, because for the longest time, a lot of people were talking about how Phil from The Advice Show was with this Mexican woman. So that shouldn't be a surprise. But I think that the surprise is the fact that somehow they tried to put spin on it to try to suggest that this was an Afro-Latino type woman, you know, like one of these people that, you know, have some African heritage or whatever, even though they're from these Latino countries. And as we know, like in Latin America, there are many different racial groups in those countries. You have white Latinos, you have black Latinos, you have mixed Latinos, you have native Latinos. So it's like a blending of different races within these countries. And, you know, so a lot of people probably assumed that she was a darker Latina woman. So, you know, they kind of like gave him a pass, even though they knew this stuff. And, you know, this guy is on video basically defending black men who date outside of their race, you know, and this is a few years ago. And I'm just going to show you the screenshot. So it's like nobody should really be surprised by this. So I'm going to go share my screen again real quick so you all can see this video. I'm not going to play it because I don't want to deal with copyright issues and all that stuff. But you see this video right here where he's talking to this white woman, and he's basically defending black men who date outside of their race, date white women in particular. And basically he talks about how the people that have a problem with it are primarily like white men and black women, basically. Like they're the only ones that have a problem with that. You know, they're the primary ones that have a problem with black men dating outside of their race. And he's defending this stuff. And this video was done like 5 years ago. So nobody really should be surprised at all about this situation. And again, this wouldn't be such a big deal if this wasn't somebody that presented themselves as pro-black. Like if this was just your run-of-the-mill YouTuber, somebody that's like a gamer or whatever, nobody would care. You know, if this was somebody that's one of these conservatives, nobody would care. If this was just your average man or what on the street, nobody would really care. But it's just the fact that you're on here putting out all this pro-black rhetoric, but you're sleeping white. I mean, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't make any kind of sense. It's contradictory. Just like you got that guy, Shannon Sharp, you know, this guy that's constantly on TV talking all this black stuff and all this militant stuff. But then in real life, he's like with this white woman all grinning like a typical coon, you know, foaming at the mouth over these white women. It's like when people do stuff like that, they are looked at as jokes. And that's how Phil from The Advice Show looks right now. That's how these people that put on this pro-black persona look before the whole damn world. Talking all this pro-black stuff. If you're so pro-black, why couldn't you choose a black woman? If you're so pro-black, if you love your people so much, why couldn't you be with a black woman? And, you know, the fact of the matter is, like, when you get on these YouTube channels and stuff like that, and you share your views, even though you're not a celebrity or anything like that, you are a public figure. And as a public figure, you can be scrutinized. And that's what everybody's doing right now. They are scrutinizing this man, Phil, from The Advice Show, and rightfully so. Rightfully so, man. And the last point I want to make is this, man. It's about these swirlers, you know, these Negro bed wenches on, and I just got to be upfront with this, man. These Negro bed wenches here on YouTube who are celebrating this stuff. They are, you know, happy. You know, it's like a celebration going on because they finally, you know, have these photographs of Phil from The Advice Show, so they're ready to pile on and bash him. These women are in no position to criticize him at all. They are in no position at all to criticize Phil from The Advice Show because they're engaging in the same type of activity by dating outside of their race, by marrying outside of their race. In fact, these people are obviously worse than Phil from The Advice Show. And I'll explain to you why, because at least Phil from The Advice Show is not on his channel telling black men to abandon black women. At least Phil from The Advice Show is not on his channel putting white women on a pedestal, celebrating them as if they're some kind of god or something. At least Phil from The Advice Show doesn't have, you know, videos featuring, you know, talking about couples, and he only has, you know, for instance, black men with white women. So these women are in no position to criticize Phil from The Advice Show because these women do all of those things. They worship the white man, they bow before him, they kiss his feet, they kiss his ass, and at the same time that they do all that worshiping of that damn white man, they bash black men. Talk about how black men are not this, black men are not that, black men are uneducated criminals and this and that. They want to cite all these statistics. So frankly, in my mind, all of those bedwenches that are celebrating this need to shut the hell up, because they're in no position to criticize this man, because they are worse than what he is. You know, this guy, I mean, my biggest problem is the hypocrisy. You know, that's my problem. You know, getting on here, doing all these countless, endless pro-Black videos, but you know, and criticizing these swirlers when he is engaged in the same activity. I can't take you seriously at that point. You know, just imagine like what the, you know, the oppressor thinks, like when he sees stuff like that. You know, here he is like criticizing white people about this and criticizing white people about that, and you're laying up with white people. And that's what that woman is. She is a white Latina. So there's no ambiguity there at all. You know, she is obviously white. You know, no one can deny that. The pictures speak for themselves. So yeah, I'm not going to keep this too long. I'm going to go through your comments real quick. But yeah, I'm just sick of the hypocrisy here, man. You know, I'm really sick of it, man. These people, you know, they're just not who they present themselves to be, man. And it reminds me of that line from Jay-Z's song Blueprint 2, where he said, you know, you're an actor, you're not who you're depicted to be. And that's what these people are on here, man. They are actors. They are not real people. They present, you know, this facade for people to draw people in, to get views and to get subs. They know that certain topics are trending topics, so that's all they talk about. They know that certain topics are popular in the Black community, so that's what they talk about. And I just I just really have a problem with somebody that just fronts, man. You know, basically putting on a show, pretending like you know, they have some kind of issue with something when in fact they're participating in that same thing. And it's just example after example after example on here. Like back in the day, people had to be vetted for leadership. They had to prove themselves. They had to go through the ranks of an actual organization to rise through the ranks, to be something, to actually be recognized as a leader. Like somebody like Farrakhan, for instance. And I know that people can criticize him for this and that, but he rose through the ranks. He didn't start out just out of nowhere, out of blue, some leader. He went through the ranks of FOI. He went through the ranks of being you know, a minister of one of the local mosques in Boston, for instance. Rose up under, you know, Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad. You look at all these other people like a Jesse Jackson or, you know, a Julian Bond. These people rose through the ranks. But nowadays, all you need is a computer. All you need is to follow these trending topics. All you need is some kind of ability to speak decent, you know, speaking a well way or whatever, and you will draw an audience. And you can lead those people, that audience, where you want them to go often with a lot of these people, man. You know, a lot of these people are jokes, you know, talking all this pro-Black militant stuff when they wasn't even messing with Black people like that a couple of years ago. These people are clowns, man. Talking all this pro-Black rhetoric while you got a white woman's hair hat on your head. I mean, these people are clowns and jokes. But anyway, let me get to your comments. You know, I think that I've said enough for now. You know, I made my points in this video, but I'm going to go through your comments and respond to a lot of the things that you said, you had to say. I'm sure that a lot of you are providing some great information or, you know, opinions in the chat room. Okay, so Brown Sugar Baby said he was on O'Shea's show and never once said he was sorry for lying to his fan base. Now, the thing is, like, yeah, and I don't even know if like if he directly lied to, well, maybe he did. Like a lot of people were saying, well, maybe she was a Afro-Latina. And I think he did suggest that. So that is lying to his fan base, if that's in fact true. You know, because that woman doesn't have a drop of Afro. I mean, if she does, it's like 1% African or something like that. Just like, you know, a lot of white people have like, you know, 1 to 4% black in them, but they are, you know, primarily white. So yeah, I mean, so that is lying. You know, if he presented that, and that's what I recall, like from what people have been saying or whatever. That's what I recall. And like me, you know, the political thing to do on here, like if I wanted to, you know, win over subscribers or get in somebody's good graces, would be to suck up and try to defend this guy. You know, get him on, you know, my show or whatever. My principles are more important than views, subs, you know, any money that anybody can offer me here on YouTube or anywhere else in life. My principles trump everything else. You know, my beliefs and values trump everything else. And I'll never sell out, man. So I'm not one of these people, unlike other people, who will like go out of their way to bow down before these people just because they got all these subs and stuff like that. I'm just going to keep it 100. And I don't care who you are or, you know, where the chips may fall. You know, I got to speak truth to power. That's what I do on my New Possibilities channel, and that's what I do here. So yeah, I mean, it's just messed up, man. You know, I didn't watch that live stream. It was on O'Shea's show. I didn't get a chance to hear what he said, but yeah, it is making misrepresentations. I mean, here you are on a show, like, you know, on a channel regularly talking black this, black that, racism this, racism that, you know, and all that kind of pro-black rhetoric and stuff like that. You laid up with a white Mexican, man. How does that add up, man? That shit doesn't, that's not, I mean, like those 5%ers say, man, that's non-cipher. I mean, the math doesn't add up. And somebody said, oh, damn, I thought dude was about it. Somebody said I was watching him for 4 years. Yeah, I've been watching him for a minute too. Peace to Miss Legit. Shout out to you. Shout out to Water Sniper. So somebody, DJ B-Side 1965 said, funny how everybody wants to decide who the black man can be with, but celebrates black women being with anything but a brother, especially when he's white. Now that's true. I mean, that is a problem that you see here on YouTube. Like a lot of these same women that are bashing Phil from The Advice Show are the same women that are celebrating Serena Williams because she's with a white guy. The same women that are celebrate, you know, a Rihanna because they see her with a white Arab or something. These are the same people that would celebrate any black woman that's with a white man, but then had a nerve to be upset or to question these black guys when they date outside of the race. I mean, just obvious hypocrisy, man. There's no consistency on here, man. These people don't have any consistency at all, man. They don't have any real principles. They constantly flip-flop. Like you got this guy, Tariq Nasheed, for instance, you know, constantly talking about bedwench this, bedwench that, but he gives black men a pass to be with white women. This man puts white mothers on a pedestal. In some of his past videos, he made comments basically suggesting that white women are better mothers. That it's better to be with a, you know, a biracial woman, for instance, that had a white mother. Stuff like that. But this same man wants to always be quick to attack black women who date outside of their race. Another example of blatant and obvious hypocrisy. And it's like, it's really hard to take these people seriously when they're so damn hypocritical, man. Now, some people like constantly want to point to like examples of black men who have been a part of the struggle who were with white women. Like someone here, Antron Bailey cited Henry Sylvester Williams being with a white woman. And some people will say, you know, they'll cite other examples like Frederick Douglass or even a Julian Bond or whatever, cite these people to say, well, you can be pro-Black, you can be down with your people and still be with a white woman. No, you can't. I mean, you can't truly be down. Now, you can do certain things, just like a white person can do things that contributes to the Black struggle. I mean, like you had white people, for instance, that supported the civil rights movement, white people who give money to civil rights organizations and social justice organizations. Yeah, they do good. I mean, that is beneficial. And I wouldn't like say, well, you can't be a part of the struggle because you're with a white woman or a white man or anything like that. I won't say that. You know, your contribution is appreciated. It's important that we all contribute to our struggle. But if you truly loved who you are as a Black person, if you truly were about your people and you truly had Black pride, you would want to be with someone who is a reflection of you, someone that reminds you of yourself if you love yourself. But often, you know, the programming runs so deep, even people who logically know that it's in their interest to be pro-Black or whatever, they are still programmed to hate themselves. I mean, we've seen it over and over again. The example of the children presented with two dolls, the white doll and the Black doll. At a young age, these are children, very young. At that early age, they are already taught to worship white people and to hate their own. So even though somebody knows, like they have done some studying and stuff like that, often it is hard to counter the programming of this society. Even if you have, you know, want to do something for your people, you still struggle with issues of self-hatred. You still struggle with the belief that whiteness is better, that somehow the white man is better and this and that. You still struggle with that. You still struggle with this concept that this white woman is the standard of beauty. Even if you profess to be pro-Black, we need a total revolution of the mind to free ourselves from these mental shackles that wrap themselves around our brain that teach us that we're inferior, that give us this false belief that somehow this white man is superior. So even though those people, that all these people want to cite as examples of how you can be pro-Black and with a white woman, the fact of the matter is they did great things. Nobody takes away from the great things that they did, but that doesn't change the fact that they still struggle with issues of self-hatred. They still struggle with issues of idolizing white people. I don't care what movement they were a part of. Again, if you love your own, you will be with your own. Yeah, and Ultimate Hit said that he always tells Black men not to marry white women. Wow, I mean, again, that's just another contradiction, another example of a contradiction. Yeah, and Ali Emmett said, these Black men claim that Black women don't know their role. How can Black women play their position in harmony with Black men if Black men are marrying different races of women? Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, the fact of the matter is, even though the majority of Black men date and marry Black women, you still have like 25% of Black men that are dating and marrying outside of the race. And that's like more than twice the number of women. So that is a major problem that we need to address. And this is a prime time to address that problem. It is a problem because we already have other problems that reduce the numbers of eligible Black men. You know, whether we're talking about the prison industrial complex and the war on drugs, you know, resulting in a large number of Black men being incarcerated, or we're talking about street violence that results in a lot of young Black men being snuffed out in their prime, or you factor in men that don't have the financial means to take care of a family. And then you have the, you know, the large number of black men that are homosexual or bisexual or whatever. All that stuff takes away the numbers of eligible men. And then on top of that, you have these educated men, these men that are, you know, like the main type of man that a woman wants to be with, like these guys that are successful, you know, these guys that are established in like the entertainment industry. Too often, a significant portion of those men are marrying outside of the race. So it makes it more challenging for black women to find suitable men to date and marry. So that's a very real issue that people have to take on and address. You can't be talking all this pro-black rhetoric when you contribute to that very problem right there. Yeah, and as you know, people pointed out, you know, this woman is pale. She's not no Afro-Latino. I mean, you got some of these people that, you know, want to make everybody Afro-Latino, people that don't even look black at all, just so that they can have an excuse to be with them, so they can have an excuse to follow them or to support them and this and that. Yeah, I agree with you, Ali, on, you know, consistency, man. It's like that's what we lack over here in this black YouTube world. Black Power 25 said most of these pro-blacks on YouTube aren't even married, and that's a you know, that's a good point. You know, about marriage. I'm not married. You know, I was married myself. We need to try to rebuild families and stuff like that. That's a priority. That has to be a priority in our community. That is something that's very important and stuff like that, you know, because you can't build a strong community without a strong family. Um, so I think that that's legitimate. I mean, I think that we as a society need to ask ourselves, why are so many marriages in the black community, for instance, ending in divorce? And why are people not even getting married at all? Like, why has it become acceptable for a lot of people to not get married and to, you know, have multiple children without being married and living together and stuff like that? Those are real questions that need to be asked. And, you know, that question of marriage is, you know, a very important question. And that's a very important issue to raise. Yeah, and so Antron Bailey is citing examples of Black Panther members who have white wives and white girlfriends. And, you know, I'm just going to go back to my original point. I'm not going to repeat myself throughout here. I made my point on that. Yeah, so Brown Sugar Baby said, you know, Phil from the Advice Show was calling black women hood rats and, you know, comparing them to hyenas and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of parallels that people were making between him and Tommy, man. And I'm glad that his show, like, he's kind of like gotten rid of that element where he's like, you know, making derogatory comments about black women. He doesn't do that anymore. Like, I haven't seen that for years. And I have to commend him on that, because, you know, that's actually, that should be normal. Like, it should be normal for black men not to bash black women. But it's so common here on YouTube that, you know, people expect to be celebrated for, you know, loving black women, which should just come natural. I mean, that shouldn't be like something that's so rare that it has to be recognized and saluted and all that kind of stuff. It should just be normal behavior. But I'm glad that he's moved away from that. Because even if you're with somebody that's non-black, that shouldn't give you a license to bash black women. And I'm glad that he doesn't do that, unlike those black women on here that talk all this swirling stuff, spend 24/7 trying to teach black women how to get with these white guys. I mean, do these women, do they know how idiotic they look, how pathetic they look, doing stuff like that? I mean, it's just so pathetic, man. And it's an actual disgrace to the race that we got women out there that do stuff like that. All right, so somebody said his ex-wife is black, but his current wife is white. Yeah, so Water Sniper said, I see people making deflecting and shaming excuses like stop looking in people's bedrooms, stop worrying about what somebody's doing and stuff like that. Again, this wouldn't even matter if this was just your run-of-the-mill YouTuber that's not on here talking this pro-black rhetoric. It wouldn't matter at all. Yeah, so Case K said, I always knew he had a Latino wife. I'm shocked that this is new news. Yeah, the only thing that made it new was just the actual image of her, because I think a lot of people, as I said before, thought that she was like an Afro-Latina or, you know, one of these so-called women of color or whatever. She looks very white to me. I mean, she looks white to me. Yeah, so somebody's responding to Be Intellectual. So Be Intellectual said Bill said the sisters wasn't checking for him. That's what his excuse is. Which is, I mean, I just find that, I mean, maybe certain women weren't checking for him. I mean, but that doesn't mean like, oh, he couldn't possibly find a good black woman, you know, especially as a man. Like men, I mean, for women, it's like I can understand why somebody would say, well, like it's harder to get a good black man or whatever, because often women aren't the ones out there directly pursuing their spouse. Like men, we're the ones that pursue. We're the ones that like take the first step most of the time. So we're the ones that are like making a decision on who we want to be with. So it's not like, you know, this man only had, you know, that option. He could have been with many black women. You know, like people pointed out, he married a black woman at first, like his first woman, at least according to what people are saying, was a black woman. And he could have found another black woman. So I think that that's a lame excuse that people put out there, man. You know, of course, there are going to be some women, like anybody that's out there trying to date or, you know, get with women and stuff like that, you're going to have rejection. I mean, rejection is a part of life, but you keep pressing ahead until you find the right one. As a man, you don't let the fear of rejection stop you from trying to be with black women and stuff. That's weak. You know, that's a weak excuse. So let me just continue on. Yeah, so I agree with Miss Legit on that point. Yeah, Ali Image, you know, that sums it up. Inconsistency, hypocrisy, exploitation, man. It's like time and time again, this stuff plays out. I mean, like you got that hustler, you know, con man, brother Polight. I mean, there's just so many of them, man. There's so many of these hustlers out here. It's hard to keep track, and it's easy for people to become disillusioned, man, when they see all these examples of all these hypocrites and hustlers and, you know, fakers and just outright con people on here, man. Just hold on for a second, y'all. So somebody said, no wonder he hid his wife from us. Wow. Yeah, I hear you on that. But like, I mean, I understand like people being private, like put this, this interracial thing aside. I understand why people are private here on YouTube. Like, because there's so many people that are like, because of what's happening right now, like his stuff is all over YouTube now. Like people are going after him because of his hypocrisy. But even if it was a black woman or whatever, and people felt a certain kind of way about how she looked or whatever, you would have people that would, put her picture out here and dog her or whatever, clown her or something like that. So, I mean, I understand like the need to be private, and that's part of the reason why I don't like, expose my family on here. Like I'm not like in here with my family and loved ones on my videos and stuff like that, for that reason. And also my channel is not like geared towards like family life. It's not like a channel that's about like my personal affairs and all that kind of stuff. It's more so about like political matters. So yeah, so I mean, I understand the idea of like keep protecting your family and stuff like that. But there's another thing, with this field from the Advice Show, it's about hiding hypocrisy, man. That's the biggest problem, hiding the fact that he's talking this pro-black stuff while he's sleeping with, this white woman, this white Mexican woman. Brown Sugar Baby said Chyna Fox only stopped interracially dating because she got fat and white men didn't want her. So she came back to the black men. I'll just let that sit right there. Y'all can address that how you choose to. But yeah, man, it's just hard to take somebody seriously. I mean, help me understand. And I did a whole video about this, months ago, or I forget how long ago it was. But how do you go from a point where you're talking about your preference for white men, and if anybody has a problem with it, basically they can go to hell, to all of a sudden being Miss Pro-Black, Mrs. Militant Black Woman? How do you make that transition? How do you go from hanging with all these white people, playing with rats and stuff like that, to being some pro-black advocate on here? I mean, it's just so ridiculous, man. So ridiculous. So Psycho said, I've been called this dude out for this. Yeah, man, like, it's just something else, man. And a lot of people have raised this point. People are saying he'll do anything for $1. Wow, man. I mean, one thing that made it clear to me that a lot of these people, like including Phil from the Advice Show, were about the money, is when they threatened to take all this, stop posting videos to YouTube because of this demonetization problem here. That made it clear to me it wasn't about the message primarily. It was about the money. Because Phil from the Advice Show and all these other countless YouTubers said, well, if you want to watch my content, you got to go to Patreon. I'm getting off of YouTube and blah, blah, blah. But all these people are back here. So, yeah, man, a lot of these people, unfortunately, are motivated by money. These people aren't real. They don't really believe what they're saying to the core. Because if you truly believe in black pride and all that stuff, again, you would be with a black woman. This is not deep. This is not rocket science. This is just simple logic. Wow. So Miss Legit said basically that I'm just going to read it instead of summarizing. She said they're unattractive, overweight, black, I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit, black women who aren't like with anybody. And he likely wouldn't talk to a black woman who is comparable or, comparative to this woman he's with now. Like a black woman is the same weight, has, similar type of features or whatever. would he be pursuing them the way he pursued her? And you know, that's just something that's common, man. Too often you have, you know, these black men that will be with a fat white woman before they're with you know, a beautiful black woman, unfortunately. You know, and you see it a lot. You see a lot. And I'm not going to say that that's the case all the time. I mean, of course, there are plenty of black men that are with white women who are not in that kind of category or whatever. But you have a lot of black men who date these, you know, unattractive white women just because they're white, you know, because they view whiteness as all this and all that. You know, so if this woman's fat, they don't care because she's white. This woman's unattractive, they don't care because she's white. Because these Negroes are color struck, man. These Negroes have been brainwashed, man. So Brown Sugar Baby said Jesse Lee Peterson called Phil out one time and he deleted that video off of YouTube. Yeah, so Allie Emmett said she didn't know he was on that pro-black stuff. You know, she thought that he was just doing that ratchet commentary stuff. Yeah, he does some of that, but he still does, you know, this pro-black stuff. All you got to do is go over to his channel right now, and you'll see, you know, multiple videos dealing with race and all this and that. And you know, it just reminds me, like I was just thinking about like how a lot of these people are motivated by money and stuff like that. And one of the prime examples that comes to me again is Boyce Watkins. Like, you know, this guy will talk on both sides of an issue just for views and subs. I mean, like this guy has videos where he's basically condemning Bill Cosby. Then he has some recent videos where he's talking about like how they did Bill Cosby so wrong and stuff like that. Because he knows that that's where the dollars are. You know, like me, I don't give a damn about like thumbs up and thumbs down and all that kind of stuff, or whether people are going to be drawn to what I have to say. You know, I just say what I believe. You know, so I know that when I do the Cosby videos where I'm stating my position, I know those are going to be unpopular. If I just wanted to be loved and all that kind of stuff in Black YouTube land, I'll be saying like they're trying to railroad this brother as a conspiracy, blah blah blah, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not like that, man. I'm consistent on here. I, you know, stick to a position based on logic and reason, and I ride that decision out. You know, I stay firm in my beliefs and all that kind of stuff. You got a lot of people that are just about the dollar. They will say anything for money. They will do anything for money. You know, they will present a false persona for the money, man. Shout out to Nikki Justice on the Run. So Brown Sugar Baby said Phil said he's Pan-African, which makes him pro-black. Exactly. If you say that you're a Pan-Africanist, you're saying you're pro-black on an even larger scale. You're going beyond just the United States. You're going worldwide at that point. Yeah, I'm really just interested in hearing what he has to say about this whole situation, how he's going to explain this away. You know, so if he appeared on what's his name show, I'm going to check that out later, you know, tomorrow or something. Yeah, and Brown Sugar Baby said that black women are his biggest coin droppers, meaning they're supporting his channel. Oh, it's Psycho's birthday. Oh, shout out to you, man! Happy birthday, man! Somebody saying I'm cooking Phil. I'm not really cooking him. If you want to see somebody, I saw some other video earlier today where somebody was really cooking him. I was cracking up. I'm not doing him like that. You know, I'm not insulting him really. Um, oh, so Psycho said no work for me. So I'm going in on this. Wow. So I'm gonna probably have to check yours out. Probably tomorrow. Yeah, I gotta go to work. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna have to wrap this up soon. Um, so LA said, "Damn, y'all doing feel like this? Wow." Man, why you say that, man? Like, if you getting on here pretending like you pro-black and you running around, you know, married to a white Mexican, that don't add up, man. You're gonna be criticized for it. Yeah, I mean, as this other YouTuber said, man, Phil don't have nothing to worry about. Y'all gonna still support him, man. He gonna still tomorrow. He'll still have his damn near 1 million subscribers. So, you know, black people are so forgiving, you know, and so tolerant of so much. You know, it's not gonna even matter at the end of the day, man. Just like black people still supported, you know, Eddie Long too. He was laid in the grave. They still support Creflo Dollar and all these other hustling pastors. I mean, these YouTube personalities, while they criticize the church too often, they are just like the same corrupt elements of the church that we see. And I'm not saying that he's like corrupt or anything like that. I'm just saying that he's presenting a false image of who he is, man. You know, he's not in the same, he's not nearly as bad as these other people that I cited, but still, you know, this does raise serious questions for me. Um, Somebody said, I know pro-black women who resemble Phil's wife. Wow. I don't know anybody that looks like, I mean, I don't know what you mean by that. You may mean like in terms of the way they, you know, there's weight or something like that. But you can't mean like, you know, there's complexion or anything. I hope not. I hope that's not what you mean. Oh, I guess you do, because you're saying like citing Chyna Fox. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, that is true. They are calling him out for being a hypocrite, and I get that, you know, but it's just like they're not ones to talk, man. They need to really, I mean, even though they're not hypocrites, they're being who they are, like by being swirlers and stuff like that. They're like being upfront saying that that's what they're about, that's what they support, and this and that. So, um, yeah, so I get what you're saying, man, but it's just like, I mean, they're worse than him because they attack black men. You know, unlike him, he's not bashing black women. Like that may have been something that he did like years ago, but he doesn't do that now on his channel. But yeah, those swirling women, I can't. I mean, it's like they really need to just fall back. They really do. So only Alyssa W said, I disagree. Swirlers can criticize Phil. He's a hypocrite. Hypocrites can criticize other hypocrites. Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but again, you know, I stand by my position. I think I explained myself well enough. Yeah, so somebody said they're calling out the hypocrisy of black men who criticize them, who criticize the swirlers, but they don't criticize, somebody like a Phil from the Advice Show. And I think that's a valid point. Like, because if you're going to criticize the swirlers and you're going to criticize black women that are with white men, you have to criticize, Phil from the Advice Show, man. Otherwise, you're being hypocritical and inconsistent. Yeah, so Mark Black said, I think he played himself by swirler bashing. The same sword you kill with can be the one you die by. Exactly, man. If you're on here like doing videos about the interracial relationship agenda and you're like having a crystalline kerosene on your program and pretending to, question her and this and that about her choices and all that kind of stuff, you do look like a hypocrite, man. And it's like you can't criticize somebody for something you're doing yourself. Miss Legit said white is the driven snow. Burn. Yeah, that lady is white, man. She's Snow White. Snow White, man, for real. Ain't no saying, no kind of argument can be made at all. She's Afro-Latino, man. So somebody said, did you see how he tried to scam people with that damn DNA test? He's Brown Sugar Baby said, if you have nothing to prove, then why get a whole DNA test? Well, I didn't know about that. And I'll be interested in seeing what he did on that. So if y'all had a link, you can post it in the comments once the video uploads. So Miss Legit said, I held him to the fire, and many other pro-black folks just glazed over it, making excuses because of his sub count. Wow. Yeah, and I heard some people, yeah, I think, this other YouTuber, I'm not going to say his name. I don't want his name in my stuff, but this other YouTuber was talking about how y'all called him out for this, you and Psycho. So I got to respect that, man. So somebody said this got everybody divided in the black sector. People don't want to talk to each other anymore, all sorts of separating. I didn't realize that. So Mark Black said, Phil said he's no leader. That's what all these people say. I mean, I'm so sick of hearing these people say they're not leaders. This man has almost 1 million subscribers. Whether he likes it or not, he's a leader. People follow him. People listen to what he has to say. People take his opinion seriously. So he is a leader whether he wants to be one or not. That guy, Boyce Watkins, is a leader whether he wants to be one or not. And, and for all intents and purposes, these people present themselves as pro-black, and they're going to be held accountable based on that presentation. The only reason why these people come out and say they're not leaders is because they don't want to be held accountable. They don't want anybody checking them, telling them when they're wrong about this or that, calling out their hypocrisy, calling out their hustling and all that kind of stuff. That's why they don't want to embrace the title of leader, because they want to be able to do whatever the hell they want to do. And that's not what leadership looks like. Leadership that's rooted in the people is leadership that's accountable. And that's what they try to avoid. They also try to avoid it by doing things like saying, well, I never said I was pro-black and all that kind of stuff. After putting out all this pro-black rhetoric, like you got that clown Cynthia G doing a video talking about she's not pro-black, when all her rhetoric would lead one to believe that she's pro-black. She's only saying that because she don't want people checking her on her hypocrisy. Just like a lot of these clowns on here, man. Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to wrap this up soon. I'm trying to make it to the end of these comments before I go. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I thought. Big Game On thought, like, did he allude that she's dark, like suggesting that she's dark and she's not, white and all this and stuff. But then, these pictures come out and it's like, damn, man, what was you lying about? I mean, I wish somebody could, I just don't have the time right now. But if I did have the time, I would find videos of him saying this stuff about, I'm sure some people out here that got the time, show videos of him saying this stuff about his wife and then comparing that with the actual photographs. Yeah, so Mad Head Doctor, and I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but he said this. He said this in the comments. Things like this will continue to happen as long as what it means to be pro-black remains superficial and baseless. Yeah, and I can't help but agree with that point, man. Because as long as pro-blackness is, based on like empty rhetoric and stuff like that, or based on appearances and performances, then anybody can call themselves pro-black and anybody can get away with anything here on YouTube. Yeah, so someone said Phil was calling out people for swirling, yet he's swirling. I mean, come on, man. The guy has one of these anti-swirling people. What's her name? Cynthia G on his program, and he's swirling. I mean, come on, man. And I just wonder if, these people that use his platform to get on, if they all had a heart to call him out on this stuff. Or will they just play nice, play politics, so that they could stay in his good graces, man? So Nikki Justice on the Run said, many black men on YouTube have cave dogs for wives, but claim black power. Yeah, man. I mean, unfortunately, that's true, man. I mean, cave dogs, that's kind of hard, man. That's kind of hardcore. Hard body, but but I get your point. Yeah, they talk all this stuff, all this stuff about like, this black power rhetoric, but yet they're sleeping with Becky and stuff, man. It's just, time and time again, like even that dude, Brother Polight, talking all this black woman is God nonsense while, running around Hollywood with white women. Man, come on, man. Black men look like jokes when they do that kind of stuff. I mean, these people that do this stuff make the whole black race and black men in particular look stupid as hell. But this is what passes for pro-blackness on YouTube, man. All right, y'all gonna have to bear with me 1 second. Yeah, Nikki, I haven't heard the legal threats that he's made. If somebody can point me to what legal threats he's made, like what legal statements he's made or whatever, they can point me to the content where he says that and the videos, I could check it out and, provide my opinion about it. But yeah, I'm sure that eventually, like, Logic asks, why hasn't Cynthia G addressed this issue of him swirling? I think it's just a matter of time, man. She's going to get around to it if she hasn't already done it. Because she has no problem throwing black men under the bus, believe me. Even somebody like him. So, yeah, it's just a matter of time, man. She may wait a little bit longer. I mean, she threw all these other black men under the bus, so he's going to just join all those other ones under there. I'm not going to repeat some of the insults in the chat room, even though y'all are cracking me up. Oh, somebody said he said he's suing for slander. How is it slander if it's true, man? If he's really with a white Mexican, that's not slander. And I don't know, like, if his Instagram is public or not, but if you put your video, your images on public forums, then they're accessible to the public. Now, people don't have a right to use, like, you may be able to say, well, you know, I didn't give you a right to use my photograph or whatever. You may be able to raise that argument, but then you could use the argument of fair use and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, if that's all he's claiming, you know, as his legal basis to sue people or whatever, that's very weak, to say the least. Oh, so somebody said, Brown Sugar Baby said Phil and his wife got exposed through her making cupcakes on Facebook. Oh, that's how it happened. All right. Oh, wow. Somebody said that he had 2,280 Patreons, and now he has 1,860 Patreon people. So that's a decline, man, a significant decline. So Fresh and Sassy said he's not leaving his wife for us. Yeah, that's true. I mean, and nobody expects him to. Like, I don't expect him to say, that's it, I'm getting a divorce because these YouTube people don't like me being with this white Mexican. No, man, I don't expect him to do that, man. The only thing I expect from YouTubers is honesty, man. I expect them to be forthright. I expect them not to be like hypocrites and stuff, man. Shout out to Information Man Show. Yeah, I'm interested in hearing what you have to say about this because I know that you were on his show not too long ago. So I'm interested in hearing your opinion. And I don't know if you were on that panel that O'Shea did. I may check that out, like if I get a chance to. I just can't do those long hangouts, man. I can't watch something that's over an hour. I mean, even though this is probably over an hour by now, but I can't do those long hangouts. But I'm going to try to catch some of it. I think I saw you on there, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm really interested in hearing your opinion about this. So somebody said he's not a crystalline Kerasin beating people over the head about dating and marrying white. Yeah, he's not in that category. You know, for the reasons I stated before. Fresh and Sassy says he's with a minority that's hated just like us. Yeah, Mexicans are like hated and stuff like that in this country. Without a doubt. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't see the emergence of a Donald Trump running on an anti-Mexican agenda. You know, so yeah, I mean that's a valid point, but that doesn't negate the fact that that woman is a white Mexican. Um, you know, that's what she looks like to me and to most people. She don't look Afro Latino at all, or even like an Indian Latino. You know, she looks white. So someone's saying that she's 67% Native American. And I know like those indigenous people will eat that kind of stuff up, that kind of rhetoric. But I don't know, like, you know, people just said that she had a DNA test and done and blah, blah, blah. But we know what she looks like. And at the end of the day, like, Native American is not black. All right. Oh, wow. You've been married for 32 years. That's awesome. That's great, man. You need to tell us the secrets to maintaining a happy marriage, a long and happy marriage. We need more people like that on here, you know, talking about like the blueprint for success in married life, man. Instead of all these little panels with people beefing with each, you know, these panels with black women and black men going at each other's throats. Just bear with me a second. I'm looking through your comments. Yeah, so just in case said Mexicans are not hated just like us. Yeah, I mean, obviously our condition is worse than a lot of these other people, other groups of people, but they are discriminated against. You know, that's undeniable. Yeah, so so I'm gonna close out. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I just had to share my views on this. But I appreciate your support. If you are not subscribed to this channel, please do so. Again, this channel is back up and running. I'm going to put regular content over here, hard-hitting content, you know. So yeah, just look forward to those videos. And if you're not subscribed to my main channel, New Possibilities, do so. And I have a few other channels as well. I'm going to put them all on both of my pages so that you all can have access to my other channels. I have 2 New Possibilities channels. I have 2 I Declare War channels, and I have an art channel as well. So support those channels, and I want to thank y'all for tuning in tonight. With that, I'll say peace and blessings to each and every one of you.